How you are brought up, how you are parented, and the circumstances of your life determines who you are right now. Are you a married couple? Are you a single mother? Or are you single and waiting? Is finance a challenge in your marriage? Welcome to Inogwen Empowerment Program, where we discuss this and many more for a better life. Welcome. Hi, this is Maxi. Thank you for tuning in to our channel, Inogwen Empowerment. At Inogwen Empowerment channel, we empower each other, we shape lives because we want to be good role models in society. I want to thank you for watching our first part on child abuse. And today we want to go to part 2 of child abuse, where we are looking at the forms of child abuse. One thing I've realized in life is that we rarely recognize that we are abusing a child, and sometimes we do it completely unknowingly as parents or as society or as teachers. But it is important for us to know what forms of abuse, that we are abusing these children, because how we treat our children below 0 to 18 years determines what they will be tomorrow, and even their self-worth and the form of happiness or the joy that they will have as they grow. A child who has grown up under abuse is a very resentful child, but a child who has been nurtured is a person you are happy even to go along with the child. So what are the forms of abuse? I would put them first of all in 2 categories. I will say they are acts of omission and acts of commission. Acts of omission is what you and I need to do for that child that we have not done. I will put it under neglect. Neglecting the child's needs. It is a form of omission. A form of commission is what you and I do to that child that brings terror or pain to the child. Emotional abuse, physical abuse, and sexual abuse. So there are 4 kinds of abuse to a child: emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and neglect. I will start with the one commonly known by all of us, the physical abuse, because that is the one you will see bruises, you will see lash marks, you will see cuts, burns on a child. You will see, children who have been, some people have even, they pinch the child until the child bleeds, or you beat the child until you break their bones, you break their arms, you beat the child, you injure, you damage their skull. It's the physical aspect of dealing with a child. The pain the child gets physically is what we refer to as physical abuse. There's sometimes when parents are fighting in a home and a child is in between or is in the vicinity, and you hit your child, knowingly or unknowingly. You have no reason to say it was unknowingly, because that is a child that you should not involve in your battles, and you injure this child. Some of us, thinking that we are disciplining our children, we beat them and leave scars, permanent scars in our children. Some of us, you'll injure a child just for taking food when they were hungry and they did not have permission from you to eat that food. Physical abuse has a big imprint on a child's psychology. and it is a case that you as a parent or you as an abuser, you can face good years in jail. I want to request you and I, if you see any child that has injuries, scars, that has red eye, swollen areas, and all that on their bodies, or a child that you look at and this child looks so traumatized, don't ignore the child. Because ignoring this child, you might be impacted you might be impacted tomorrow. So physical abuse is done mainly by us as parents, teachers. It is done by the caregivers who take care of our children. It is so sad that even infants suffer physical abuse. At one time, I've watched an item on internet where a father is beating a child because the child refused to sleep. And you're like, is that normal for an adult to lay your huge hand on a small baby? Physical abuse is done by parents, teachers, elder siblings, caregivers, and the people whom we stay with in our homes, who are relatives. Watch out your child for any signs of physical abuse and keep them away from every abuser. I tell women and mothers, you don't have to stay with a house girl who beats up your children. She is not tied to your children with a rope. You have a duty to protect your child from physical abuse. The second kind of abuse I will talk about is sexual abuse on children. Children will never tell you that they have been sexually abused because the perpetrators warned them. I have had cases of children confessing that they could not speak it out for fear of being killed by the perpetrators. The perpetrators of sexual abuse on children, they are very clever. They intimidate the children and make sure that these children cannot speak out. You may be wondering and thinking maybe sexual abuse only involves sexual intercourse or rape to a child. If you as an adult, you keep touching and touching the private parts of your child or a child that is in your care, you are sexually abusing that child. Exposing the child to pornography or taking pornographic images of this child is a form of sexual abuse. Subjecting this child to watch pornography, either in the physical or on screen. What I'm talking about is a small child witnessing you having sex. That is child abuse for that sexual abuse on that child. And it is not just a male and a female. I have cases whereby even the ladies you live in the care of your children, a lady sexually molesting a small girl. I've heard of cases where a woman went home at one time and found the house girl. The house girl has made the daughter, who was a kid who was suckling. She was actually like about 6 months. The child is suckling the house girl's private part as the girl is masturbating. A very sad incident. That lady, she decided to quit job. So it's not that when you have a small daughter and you have left your house girl with the daughter, that she will not be sexually molested. And that is why I say, women, watch out, even the smell on your children when you go home. Smell your daughters, smell your sons. You'll be able to know whether this child has been sexually molested or not. Sexual abuse on children, it is done from all ages, from 0 age. Uncles who are left, maybe you have your daughter and you have your brothers at home, and you think your brothers will take care of your daughter. I have a lot of history. I have a lot of list of young girls, some of them who are old women now, mature women now, just because their mothers trusted their brothers so much and left them in their care. The brothers sexually abused these kids. They raped these girls for a very long time. But the mothers could not hear to that because my brother cannot do that. The person who sexually abuses your child in most cases is a person well known to the child, well known to you. Protect your daughters and your sons from sexual abuse. In sexual abuse, your child can get an HIV, can get an STD. Your child can have their uterus ruptured. Your child can have issues that you cannot even be able to repair with time. But if we start by listening, we'll be able to understand. If you come home and your daughter is struggling to walk, watch out. She may not just have an infection. She may be having a challenge. If you come home and your son's, the head of his penis is swollen, it may not just be an infection. There might be a problem. So watch out for those signs on your children. And do not try to protect a perpetrator of sexual abuse. They do not deserve to be protected because they were supposed to protect a young child whom they never protected. Bring them to light. It might be you today. Tomorrow, you do not know what they will do. Sexual abuse on children, it is the most traumatizing thing that you can ever think about. Because I have watched mature women, 40, 50, 30, 20 years after going through that ordeal, because it has an imprint on their head, in their mind that cannot be handled. One of the other ways to know if your daughter or your son is being sexually abused, if all of a sudden a child who never used to wee in bed, who never used to wet the bed, all of a sudden starts wetting bed, or a child who you had even toilet trained, now this child, he goes or she goes, she prefers to soil their clothes. It means there is something this child is scared about. It's something the child is going through. Watch out. Mothers, watch out. Fathers, watch out. Protect your children. Mothers, teach your young daughters, your young girls, from as tender age as possible, not to keep on playing on the laps of any man. And when I talk about any man, I mean any man. Whether it is their brother, their father, their uncle, their cousin, whoever it is, teach them, train them. As they grow up, they will not be victims of such people. And be confident of your children. Assure your child that nobody can harm them if they confide in you and keep your word. Sexual abuse, the worst imprint on a child. Our third form of abuse that I will talk about in child abuse is neglect. When I talk about neglect, you have a duty as a parent or as a guardian to give your child food, shelter, education, medical care. When you don't give your child these basic needs, it is a form of an abuse. Don't count yourself like you are not part of an abuser. Because the child needs food. You as a parent who is responsible for this child, You must make sure the child has food, the child has shelter, the child has education, and your child, when the child is sick, you take the child for medical care. Whether it is free government medical care or you are paying for it, but don't keep a sick child at home. You are abusing that child. The fourth form of child abuse that I will talk about is emotional abuse. Emotional abuse has been seen to have a long-lasting impact, just like the physical abuse and sexual abuse. Because emotional abuse, you play with the emotions of a child. You are forever abusing that child and making sure that you squeeze the child in a fearful corner where they cannot be able to come out. By threatening this child. Threatening the child, apart from threatening this child, you are forever putting negative words in the child. You can never make it. You are stupid. You are this, you are that. So that the only words that come from you are the negative words to a child that cannot build this child. Anything the child does, it is wrong. You bring up a child who does not even believe in himself or in herself. A child who does not even understand why they exist in the first place. Emotional abuse can be done. In fact, many teachers are blamed for emotional abuse. When you have children in school, not all those children in that class are of the same IQ. We have those with high IQ, we have those with low IQ. Treat each child separately. Even if they are en masse, but treat each child in that group as they are. Do not think a child who is below average, you can all of a sudden push them to be above average. They need encouragement. Don't let them feel that they do not deserve to be alive. No wonder children commit suicide after results are out, because of what they went through from both parents and teachers, that they feel there is no need for them to be alive. Emotional abuse, celebrate your child no matter how poor or how poor they have performed or how clever they are. A child who had 0% in maths and came home with 5% in maths, celebrate that child. You'll see them getting 20% next time. Emotional abuse, you have seen sometimes maybe children crying in a corner with their hands on their heads, and they feel like they have folded their legs, they're curling up in a corner because you are hurling words at them. The other form of emotional abuse is when you as parents are busy fighting. You are busy fighting and your daughter or your son is in a corner. They are scared. One, what would happen to dad and mom? Two, will they be the next target of attack from you? Some of the things that we do in our houses, we don't know they affect our children. We need to nurture their little mind and help it grow. When they grow, they are citizens who will be able to take care of themselves. You'll find your daughter just urinating on themselves, wetting themselves, your sons wetting on themselves, when they never used to wet on themselves. Because when they see you lift your hand, they know that the next thing that is going to happen, it is going to be chaotic. There are so many ways that we abuse our children. It is scary. Children are dying because of parents throwing them down the stairs. Children are dying because of house girls sitting on them because they are abused by their employers. Children are dying because of starvation. Food not being given to them because mom and dad are in competition. Children are committing suicide because they do not see the reason why they should be alive. It is important for us to take care of the children in the society. And I want to talk to you as a neighbor or as a person in society. Help us identify children that are going through abuse. Let us report to the Child Protection Society. Let us report such cases. I believe your action and my action will make this world a safe place for children to be born in. Sometimes I wonder, when you give birth to a child and you throw the child in the toilet, I don't know what you are thinking about. But I want to thank God, because some of these children, they are being pulled out of the toilets alive. The other thing I want to ask, if you have an opportunity to adopt a child and get this child out of the children's homes and give them a home, then you will have done a noble task. Let us help our children to grow well in a good society. I was looking at the forms of child abuse, and just to summarize, we have physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and neglect as a form of child abuse. In our third part of child abuse, we shall look at what are the signs that you need to look at to know that your child is being abused. Thank you for watching our channel. Subscribe, like, share my video. If you have any comment, please leave it at our comment box, and we shall appreciate to know what you feel about our video. Thank you so much. God bless you.